Yep. Good afternoon, and welcome to the September 2024 Safety Commission meeting. And since this is our first one of the year, we got a few things we usually do earlier in the year to take care of. First off, we got a bunch of new members, so maybe we should do introductions around the room. You want to start?
Sure, yeah. So I'm Joe Sad. I'm city engineer, City of New Ulm. I'm the staff liaison for the commission.
Nancy Solberg. This is my first meeting.
I'm Abigail Safford. I'm new as well.
Connie Grams.
I'm Chris Warwick.
Gigi Risdall.
Chad Gentz.
Jeff Huffman, Public Works Superintendent.
All right, thank you. And welcome to all the new members and returning members and everybody. All right, next thing we do is to elect 2024 officers. So we'll start off with the chair. Do we have any, open the floor for nominations for chair?
I nominate Connie, but are you getting off? No.
I don't
you-
think so.
Okay, I nominate Connie, because you're getting off. Is that right?
I'm here for another 3 years.
Okay, would you repeat that, please? What you're asking nominations for?
For chair, well, we make new one every year.
So we have to bring you up. I nominate you.
Okay, so,
Excellent plan.
okay. Any other nominations? All right, we'll close the nominations then. Do we got to vote on it then if there's only one? Okay,
Even if there's only one.
all right.
Yep.
All in favor of Chris Warwick as the
Oh,
chair?
We need a motion in a second.
I'm sorry,
for that.
yep.
Sorry, Chris.
I move to have Chris Forward be our continued good chairman.
And I'll second that, Joe.
All right, we got a motion that I will remain as chairman. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Okay, next we need to go to vice chair. Last year was Connie, and I'll open the floor for nominations for 2024.
Are you good with doing it again?
Yeah, it wasn't too hard.
All right. I make a motion to have Connie Grams as vice chair.
I'll second that motion.
All right, we have a motion and a second for Connie Grams as the vice chair. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right. And secretary, that just is city staff, so
We'll take
we
care
don't
of
need
that.
to act on that.
That is, Mr. Chair, unless someone really wants to do it, I would let them, but that's pretty easy for staff to take care of it.
All in
so.
favor of saying no, say no.
Yeah, no one's raising their hand, so, okay.
Sounds good.
All right, we'll move on to the secretary's report then. And that comes from,
It'd just be the November 2nd meeting minutes from last year.
oh, okay, I'm sorry.
I'll
Yeah.
make that motion to approve the November 2nd of '23 meeting minutes.
I seconded.
All right, we have a motion and a second to accept the meeting minutes from last meeting, last November. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Thank you. Okay, now we'll move on to old business. First South Street parking restrictions.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chairman, commission members. Just to refresh your memory, last fall, the commission received a request to eliminate some parking stalls on First South Street between Minnesota Street and German Street due to sightline issues. Commission recommended the removal of those stalls, and that was taken to City Council, and City Council then ordered the removal of those stalls based on the commission's recommendation. And the Street Department completed that work shortly thereafter, that City Council meeting, so that has been resolved at this time. So no business, or no motions are necessary, is just for your information on that.
May I ask a question?
Yep.
Has anyone been upset about that, or has it been okay?
Our office has not received any complaints on that.
Great.
All right, any other questions? Okay, we will move on then to new business. Consideration of the proposed 2025 capital improvement plan.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chair and commission members. And I do want to just back up a little bit and just really touch base quickly on since we do have some new members, the role of the commission. So really, Safety Commission is really, gets together to discuss traffic and safety-related items within the city's rights of way. So part of that includes sidewalks, trails, and roadway projects. So kind of as this has progressed, the city has developed and adopted a complete streets policy and the active transportation plan, which are included within your agenda packet for your review, especially for our new members. What those two policies and plans really form is the framework to make our streets usable and accessible for all users regardless of ability. So walk, bike, roll, and obviously our vehicular traffic movements as well. So together with the complete streets policy and the active transportation plan, that kind of guides us when my staff starts their design work and things of that nature. And, how can we accommodate all users of this particular stretch of roadway that we're proposing for reconstruction? So that brings us to the capital improvement plan itself. So this is a draft version of the 2025 plan. The plan looks out 5 years in advance of potential capital improvement projects that I would recommend to the city council for inclusion. Specifically, I have the commission look at, just a year in advance. We're looking at the 25 projects, and that's kind of what the focus of the presentation here is today. The big one on the list is obviously Bridge Street. That's from Cottonwood Street down to Tower Road, right in front of the Kraft facility and adjacent to Oakwood Estates, the trailer park that's down in that area as well. It's an area that is underserved, does not have sidewalks currently. So I'm going to scroll a little bit here and get those exhibits. And it's long been a desire to have sidewalk installed on this segment of roadway. Let's try to zoom here a little bit. Oh, boy. Oh, I'm going to have to live with that. So as you can see back end, so this is the south end of Bridge Street, and there is sidewalk extension up to the Tower Road area. And as you head north, that sidewalk disappears, and there's really no off-street facility to walk safely on. It's a heavily used corridor with semis continuously coming and going from the Kraft plant. So we had staff go out and kind of do some exploring out here to see what could be done to make a sidewalk fit in. There are some utility conflicts, some miscellaneous trees and shrubs, nothing of real note that it's a big monumental tree or anything of that nature. So looking at the corridor, the utility conflicts, as you can see, that stretch at Tower Road, it did fit in. There was utility conflicts during that time that some of those utility boxes and pedestals got moved. And I think we can do the same thing on this stretch as well. As you can see, here's an example of a utility pedestal that we could either slide it back just a touch or move it forward up next to the pole and still be able to get that sidewalk in so we can add that accommodation up to Cottonwood Street. So I wanted to bring that to the commission to let you know we've looked at it, and I think we can do it. There was a question for a long time until we looked at the survey data if we could fit it in. The thing that makes this corridor different is that we have a whole lot of utilities and only 60 feet of right-of-way. Usually a corridor like this, we have at least 80, if not 120 feet to work with. So this corridor, we have water, sanitary sewer, storm sewer, fiber, and electrical all jammed within that 60 feet, and the utilities are deep, so it makes it real tough to construct. But once we dove into the data a little bit, looked at what can we move around, what can we have the utility companies move, it looks like we'll be able to fit sidewalk in down to Cottonwood Street. So that's the presentation on Bridge Street.
And the intent is, Joe, to put it on both sides, correct?
No,
We are just looking at the trailer park side right now. We did briefly look at the Kraft side as well, but in order to stretch our dollar as far as we can, we did talk to Kraft about it, and they just don't have the employees that walk there. So it is our feeling that it's going to be.
Anyways, with snow and everything else.
well, they have their
It'd be a lot of
security
work.
fence there. Yeah, I've walked out there a couple of times in the last few months, and it needs a sidewalk desperately. The semis are,
It's a mess.
yeah, it's a mess. And then they park out there too because
Right.
they have no place to park.
Yeah.
So then you have to walk farther in the street to get past them.
So, yeah,
Well, I asked the question too, even from a snow removal standpoint.
Yeah.
I mean, you're gonna throw that snow right up against their fence, and
right.
does that create more work for the city or more
Yeah, so that's,
responsibility?
right, so that's what my staff and myself are proposing. The commission, you can certainly make a recommendation how you feel, but that's what we're proposing at this time for, like I said, for Bridge Street. The next big one on the list is the Lakeside Village Edition, and this would be the initial roadway improvements in the subdivision. So the utilities were put in this subdivision back in 2005. It sat pretty bare for quite a long time and went in, multiple lots went into tax forfeiture. It has now been redeveloped and homes have gone up. And it's getting to the point now where within the original development agreement would allow us to go in and construct those initial roadway improvements. Included with that would be curb and gutter, paving, street lighting, sidewalks, and then boulevard restoration at the completion of the project. So we are proposing sidewalks out here that would tie into the system in North Highland Avenue, down in the right-hand corner. And then the improvements would stop right here, kind of on the left-hand side. That is where the utility work stopped back in 2005. So everything going to this point west is not served by utilities, so we don't want to put roadway improvements on top of something that doesn't have utilities. So that's what we are proposing there. And that follows the development plan that was originally part of that development. They included all of the public improvements as part of that development agreement to be constructed, so. So those are the two big ones in 2025. I'm going to scroll back up to the plan itself. Also included in 25 would be a couple alleys, and then the line item miscellaneous concrete and ADA improvements. That is work associated with the 2025 reconstruction project. So back in 2009, the city completed a ADA assessment of our public infrastructure. So that really gave us scores of our pedestrian ramps at every location within the city. So that miscellaneous concrete section and ADA improvements is going in with the city's contractor that goes out for bids to do those improvements on the roadway segments that the street department reconstructs. Street department can do some concrete work, but some of this work is beyond what they have the ability to do, so that's why it's included with a different project. So that's what that work entails. And then just going through the surface reconstruction project, those are, again, roadway resurfacing only projects that are performed by the street department and their personnel. That list there. All of those segments are currently served by sidewalk already. You know, obviously, except for the Summit Avenue going into the golf course, that segment does not have sidewalk on both sides, but really an extension of it's city right away, but extension of the golf course or country club's driveway. Some other miscellaneous improvements, 18th South Street Storm Sewer Lift Station, that's kind of a infrastructure-related project, doesn't really pertain to streets at all. But the other one item of note here is the 20th South Lights and Gates. The state has given us a grant that would fund 90% of the funds to put lights and gates on 20th South after completion of our project that we have going on the south end of town right now. So the existing system will remain in place over the winter, and then at some point next summer, CP Rail will come in and put in a new system down there. Next list is a whole bunch of airport projects, which really doesn't pertain to the commission at this time. So that is a quick summary of our 2025 plan. Again, looking specifically at Bridge Street and Lakeside Village are areas where we are proposing, kind of that complete streets holistic approach to those projects. So I guess if there's any questions, I could certainly try to answer them at this time. Otherwise, we can, Mr. Chair, you could open up for discussion.
Any questions or discussion on the presentation?
Joe, out on Lakeside, is that going to be sidewalk on both sides?
Correct. Yep.
And that'll be all the way up into the north cul-de-sac areas and everything, correct?
Yep, yep.
So the whole front end square, basically.
Yep, so it'll be sidewalk from here this way and then
Up
all the
them
way
and
up,
then
up
stop
to
by
the end. Yep, where it goes
townhouses
into the
and
Runk
twin
property.
houses.
Yep.
That was, yeah, kind of what I assessed when I drove through it.
Yeah, it's improvements that I think some of those residents are long waited for. It gets pretty sloppy and rough in the spring thaw.
You've got enough houses back there now to justify it, and it'll also help probably sell the rest of those lots.
Right, I would
Back in
agree.
there.
Yep. Yeah, it's a busy area out there
Yeah.
with a lot of homes being built, and it's a younger neighborhood as well, a lot of kids in the area and things of that nature as well, so.
Start.
Probably, not necessarily Lakeside, but the project as a whole would be proposed to start probably mid-May. Bridge Street alone is probably at least 4 months worth of work, so it'll take all summer, so. Projects such as Lakeside would go quicker, probably looking at a month to 2 months for completion on that, but exact start date would be determined by the contractor who receives the project.
All right, any other discussion? Okay, so what are we looking for? Do we have to do proposals for each point, or what do we need to do here?
Yep, a good question, Mr. Chair. So really, what we'd be looking for from the commission is just a recommendation that I can take to council that the proposed CIP does meet the complete streets policy and active transportation plan.
Okay. And I believe it does. I think we should make that recommendation.
Yeah, and then specifically, we could, the commission, and like I said, I'm proposing sidewalk on the west side, but a specific recommendation from the commission on Bridge Street would be beneficial as well. So
Okay, well,
that would give us enough guidance to
Want a
keep moving
separate
forward.
recommendation on Bridge Street?
Right.
Yeah,
So let's
yep.
start with that. Yeah. Okay.
I'd make that motion on the Bridge Street project to have the sidewalk just on the west side only, as it meets the requirements within our policies and procedures with the traffic and safety plans.
I second it.
All right, we have a motion and second pertaining to the Bridge Street sidewalk plan. Any further discussion from anyone? Otherwise, all in favor of that proposal, say aye. Aye. Opposed? All right, that recommendation moves forward. Okay, so do you want one on Lake Street too, or?
Yeah, and then the next one could just be the plan as a whole. If
Oh, it's the plan
that's
as a whole,
yeah,
okay.
yeah.
And then the Lakeside Village one, Joe, that has sidewalks on both sides on the primary streets, right?
Yep, every street will have sidewalk both sides, yep.
Yeah. And now, is that the same for the twin homes as well? Or
Yes,
not? Okay.
yep.
Okay. I'd make that motion again with that clarity that that does meet the traffic and safety policies that we've been asked to monitor.
I second it.
All right, we have a motion and second on the rest of the plan. Any more discussion? Otherwise, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, the motion carries. Does that meet what you're looking for then?
Yes, Mr. Chair, that would be the conclusion of the agenda items I had for you today.
All right. So that is all of our agenda. So our next meeting is scheduled to be October 3rd, 2024. And there being no further business, we can declare the
have a
meeting.
question.
I'm sorry.
I have a question. I'm wondering, when are we thinking about putting that roundabout at the bottom of the hill?
Good question. So as you can see, that's included in the CIP in 2029. I just have a placeholder in the CIP for it. It's a very expensive project, so I'm working on finding funding for it. It's probably pushing around $6 million in today's dollars. There's numerous grant opportunities out there that will open up over the fall and winter, and I'll be applying for any and all that I can that would fit the requirements. Projects such as this is going to the Safe Routes to School funds, there's active transportation funds, there's a whole bunch of different funding pockets that we can apply for. It is a priority of mine. It's a lot of money that I have to try to come up with. So I'm kind of going all in with a full roundabout center and garden, and then full roundabout at Payne and Center as well, so we could eliminate the traffic light there. And also the pedestrian tunnel. Last time when we had the ICE report that was reviewed by the commission by Bolton and Mink, I think that was a high priority of the commission, was to include that pedestrian underpass as well. So, and I'll be working with Brown County on that as well. So Center Street, just for the other commissioners, it is a county highway. So it's a project we have to do kind of hand in hand with them. So the county's on board. I've got the support, or the county commissioners have given us the support to move forward, try to find funding as well. So it's there. I'm hoping it's not a placeholder. I'm hoping I can even move that up a couple years, but funding is the main hurdle that we have to jump through. So good question. Thank you, Gigi.
So you're looking at 2 roundabouts, one at Garden and Center and one at Payne and
Yep.
Center?
Yeah, so the thought with the one at Payne is if that traffic signal turns red, it may cause significant backing into the Garden Street proposed roundabout. So in order to alleviate that, we would remove the traffic signal and put a roundabout there as well, so.
Okay.
And the $6 million price tag, does that include both roundabouts?
Correct.
And how much was the one that was out on 14, Highway
14 was it was about 2.2. So, and yeah, that's a lot bigger footprint. Ours would be smaller in scale and whatnot, but
And that makes
So-
it harder probably to,
it does.
Create-
There are a little bit, and topography is another concern. There's some retaining walls we'd have to build and things of that nature. Payne Street would most likely be kind of a mini that's up by the high school. It would be a smaller scaled one, but
And where are you thinking of the underpass?
so the underpass was to the west of the Garden Street intersection. So as Center Street goes up the hill, the underpass would go at about 100 feet or so to the west of the intersection. So,
Okay.
yeah, just there's a lot of park and rec programming, and when they use Harmon, just to separate that pedestrian and vehicular traffic, other schools and things like that. So it's when we can reduce that conflict to zero, that's what the goal would be. So that's why we would include that.
All right, any more discussion? Okay, well, then I think we can declare the meeting adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, commissioners.